Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Pod Fruit, One Piece Through New Eyes. On today's episode, we will turn our focus to Volume 2, titled Buggy the Clown. Volume 2 covers chapters 9 through 17. I am the host, Michael, and with me we have our One Piece rookies, V and Dylan.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's begin. Volume 2 opens with Nami and Luffy running away from the Buggy Pirates. Nami had just stolen a map of the Grand Line from them. Nami tells Luffy about Buggy and refuses to join Luffy's crew, saying she hates pirates. However, she captures Luffy and takes him to Buggy to make a deal. Upon returning Luffy to the Buggy Pirates, Nami is forced by Buggy to kill Luffy, but she is saved by Zoro, who cuts Buggy into pieces. Buggy's devil fruit, the Chop Chop fruit, is revealed, allowing him to chop his body into pieces. He uses this to stab Zoro. Zoro and Nami then run away, dragging Luffy's cage with them. The trio come across a pet shop guarded by a dog named Choo Choo. Chow Chow. Choo Choo. And the mayor explains why Chow Chow Choo Choo is there and provides Zoro a place to recover. Mohiji and Richie then arrive to kill Luffy, and Richie destroys Luffy's cage. Mohiji and Richie defeat Choo Choo and burn down the shop, but Luffy returns and defeats the two. Buggy prepares to destroy Orangetown and attacks it with his signature Buggy Balls. The mayor then decides to stand up for his city. Luffy saves the mayor from Buggy and knocks him out to keep him from interfering. Luffy and Zoro then confront Buggy, with Luffy reflecting a Buggy Ball. Kabaji, Buggy's second-hand man, attacks Zoro while taking advantage of his wound. However, Zoro still manages to gain the upper hand. Nami goes to steal the Buggy Pirate's treasure as Zoro defeats Kabaji. Luffy confronts Buggy, shocked to hear him mention his friend Shanks. So that is our summary of Volume 2. And we're going to do things a little differently today. On our first episode, we kind of started things off by discussing the overarching themes, characters, and stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to start chapter by chapter. We're going to go through and discuss each one individually. And then we're going to wrap things up with some broader questions, topics to discuss. And yeah, so let's dive in to our material here for the first chapter of Volume 2, Chapter 9. I think that this chapter introduces Buggy in a really funny way here. I love the robber nose bits, steak nose, beef. It had a lot of funny moments. Overall, it was a silly way to introduce a villain, but he is a silly villain. The interactions between Luffy and Nami were fun. I loved how Nami was like, at first she was like trying to recruit Luffy to help her out, and Luffy was like, I don't want anything to do with you. And then they find shelter, and Luffy asks her to join his pirate crew, reveals that she hates pirates, but she, likes to rob them. I thought that was interesting, how we got another anti-pirate, Zoro being the pirate hunter, Nami being the pirate robber. She has a love for tangerines, which comes off as odd. And then I think Buggy's interaction with his crew is really interesting. But, I love seeing Nami finessing idiots. It's one of my favorite things that happens in One Piece, and it does happen more often than just this one time. It is her specialty. And finally, we see, Zoro showing up. So things are about to get real. V?
Yeah, I thought that was a great introduction to sort of like the story proper, so to speak, in the sense that, I feel like Volume 1 was definitely more of an introduction, whereas this kind of how can I put this? It felt more full it felt a little bit more like lived in, so to speak. Like I felt like the space was what it is meant to be and not just an introduction of the space. Yeah, the robber nose and rubber nose thing is also something I noted that absolutely cracked me up. He got so butthurt, and I kind of like it. It seems to me like it's the case of someone that like hears what they want and use that as an excuse for revenge. Maybe speaks a little bit to his character as a villain or as a person. I will note there's this shot of like the shot of Captain Buggy on the chair was really cool to me. Like the shot on him on the throne with like the henchmen on either side of him, and just his pose was really, I don't know, it was really like, it captured my eye. It was really attractive. Not that I find him attractive. Let me be clear.
It's a little menacing.
But it was menacing, and it
clown.
was imposing. Like I didn't expect to be like, whoa, but like a gasp of like being impressed and not being disgusted, which is what I had felt with some of the previous antagonists. Yeah, so that was also something that really caught my eye for this. Again, you know, we are faced with Luffy being completely not self-aware, which I think, you know, I have a feeling that if I start talking about every single time that Luffy lacks self-awareness, I'm going to be talking about that every single episode.
It's still new to you.
So, but it's still something that really, really hit me is that in his character. And like you said, Michael, I also thought that the interactions between Luffy and Nami were very interesting in this chapter. You can tell that despite the friction and disagreements between them, they do seem to somehow find common ground, or at least a means to both get what they want out of that collaboration, which maybe to start is all we can sort of expect from that kind of relationship. And I thought it gave a little bit more oomph or substance to their relationship, and I thought that was a nice little touch. I was also, in my notes, I have Nami equals Faye Valentine. And I don't know if you guys have watched Cowboy Bebop, but Faye Valentine is the like main female character in Cowboy Bebop, and she is a very cunning person. And I was like, my gosh, I'm getting Faye Valentine vibes from Nami at this point. And I thought that was neat because I love Faye as a character. She's not quite as self-serving as Faye is, but she gets what she needs when she wants it. And she's going to do what she can to get it. And then, unsurprisingly, another note I have for this chapter is Zoro's so hot, to be honest.
What is he just doing? Like getting off the boat?
Yeah, I guess she just comes
we
out.
get one panel.
Yeah.
It's one panel. I mean, it is a nice panel.
It's a great the angle, the three swords, I was like, damn. Yeah.
The earring.
Old shot.
Yeah.
What, Dylan?
No.
Mugshot?
But yeah, I think I expressed that in episode 1, but I think I'm gonna be a Zoro fangirl. Sorry.
Okay. It'll be fun.
But that was it for me in terms of what really, really captured my attention for this chapter.
Right. Okay. And Dylan?
The one thing, like, I'm starting to pick up a theme after reading this chapter is all the villains seem to be like super duper insecure. Like Alvida, anytime you say she's not pretty, she's gonna kill you. Morgan, if you don't say he's the greatest, he's gonna kill you. You talk about this dude's goofy ass nose, he's gonna kill you.
It's the ego.
So, yeah, but it's like not even so much ego; it's just insecure. I mean, Morgan, it was really ego, but the other two, it's really like deep rooted insecurities is what I'm picking up on.
You don't see a ton of like super humble villains.
I mean, yeah, true, but I mean, it just sticks out really, and this is what I've been noticing. Pretty much what you guys have been saying about Nami. I mean, it doesn't show it now, but you kind of see a little example of his gum, or not his gum, the chop fruit power. But you can't really pick up on it because the guy's holding his neck when he does it, and when you get that still of Buggy, the hand he's using is hidden, which is something I picked up on through the read-through. It's like, oh, his hands actually detach and latch on to people. But he's got it hidden pretty well in this. And the interactions between the two of them are like, oh, and like, I love Luffy's whole bit. And it's like, oh, so why are they, like, because Nami's like, yeah, Buggy the pirate, everybody's scared of him, they ran away. It's like, so why is everyone so scared of Nami and these pirates? And it's like, no, Buggy, I'm Nami. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, so you're just looting abandoned houses? That makes sense. It's like, no, I don't do that. But yeah, and like V was saying, this volume especially is more fleshing out the story of, because my main complaint last time, especially with Accent, was like, it's a bag island to like see a little more detail behind, a little more like longer of a story, and this volume is definitely starting to delve into that a little more, which I like. But that's all I got for this chapter.
Right. Yeah. I overlooked it, but I actually laughed out loud during the conversation between Nami and Luffy, where I'm Nami. No, I'm not looting. He's such a knucklehead. I love that side of Luffy when he just completely misses the plot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, V, why don't you go ahead and kick chapter 10 off?
Sure. So just the chapter kind of opens on this drinking scene, and I was like, I am not surprised that they made Nami a tank for some reason. Like, it might be a weird thing to say, but I felt like it fit her character really well. And
made her a tank?
Yeah, like a tank as in she can drink a lot of alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not in the D&D sense. In the drinking sense. Yeah, I feel like it fits her character really well, and also it makes her a little bit more relatable to me as someone who can outdrink many people. I am a little bit of a tank myself, so
is that like, a challenge?
Might be. Also, yeah, so then Luffy in the cage, I was like, you know what, me too. I think my main concern when being trapped would be food as well. I would just get so hangry so fast. I would be the worst prisoner to deal with because I would just get hungry and I would whine about it. I had a pretty solid chuckle at the mention of the buggy balls. I was
Buggy's balls.
Right? I thought the buggy balls were just something to laugh about until like one literally ripped through the town. I was like, oh shit, okay, yeah, they're not messing around with those balls.
Not fun balls.
Those are some hefty balls. Yeah, so I had I wonder how intense. I mean, what else are you gonna call them, right? But it because I have the humor of a 5-year-old, I thought that was hilarious. I was also I feel like the artwork in this chapter is also notable. Like, there are a few really good shots. Like, there's the shot when Nami is like being confronted with having to sort of make a decision with regards to should she go ahead and light the cannon or not to blow Luffy to pieces, and she has this moment where she's thinking, and the way that she's drawn there, I thought was it was very subtle but telling of how she was feeling, and yeah, I thought that was also a really interesting interactions with regards to building the relationship between characters. I thought that was a good moment for that, and kind of takes their relationship and friendship to another level. And I love seeing her in action also. I feel like she, this is kind of the first moments where we really see her as an active character, an active member of that team. And I really appreciated seeing her in action. I guess I was also a little bit, I guess I hadn't understood how much of a reputation Zoro has. I feel like the way he was introduced, I maybe didn't quite catch that, but it's like everyone knows who he is. And I was
I think they call him like the demon or something.
Right. And I guess I was sort of, surprised that like he has this like notoriety about him and that people know him. Because, to me it felt like he maybe, not that he wasn't important, but he wasn't introduced to me as someone who was like this like legendary person in my mind. Maybe I misinterpreted it at the time, but it didn't feel as obvious as he is being referred to here by Buggy and his pirates, and Nami.
Mr. and Mrs. the Clown.
the Clown. And then I love that they ended on a bit of a cliffhanger also. You need that. You need that little bit of cliffhanger drama. So, yeah. That was it for chapter 10 for me.
Dylan?
Well, chapter 10, like, the first thing that stuck out to me was like, oh, yeah, we got the map, we're going to the Grand Line. And then, like, it shows the thing, like, the scene in the back of my head. It's like, because, I mean, they're all, like, it's obvious, like, three-ring circus stuff. You got the guys in the unicycles doing handstands, juggling knives. And it's like, okay, that's funny. I like that. That made me laugh. And again, like what V was saying, it makes sense that, Nami can drink really well, because, I mean, pirates drink all the time, so she can out-drink pirates. This is her in. She can out-drink anybody. Her in is, I'm just going to get you really drunk and then take what I want when you pass out. Also, super duper funny that, like, Luffy's just trapped in the cage. He's like, fuck it, I'll eat my way out. And starts, like, chomping on the bars. And it's also funny. He's like, let me out here. Get me something to eat while you're at it. And then she, like, next panel, she brings him some food. It's like, you know what, you're not half bad. Maybe I will let you join my crew. And then Buggy does the whole Buggy Ball thing. Everybody's like, oh, God. And, like, it's not in color, but like what V was saying, I assume if it was in color, when the dilemma comes up, it would be like the stereotypical anime, maybe like grayed out background, close up on the face, like whited out pupils. It's like, oh my God, what do I do?
When she has to
like face down, like shooting him or not.
Yeah.
And then Zolo comes in, saves the day, and then he shows that he could be just as stubborn as Luffy when he's got the wound, and he's like, I'll do it my way. I don't care what anybody says. Like, even though he's bleeding out of his kidneys, he's like, just picks up the cage and jumps off the roof. But it was cool to actually see, like, fully played out the fact that, like, Buggy can be, like, fully dismembered, and it just doesn't do anything to him. Because he gets chopped in, like, a good 5-6 pieces, and just, well, I guess you don't really see it in this chapter, but...
Do you not?
No, I think the end of the chapter is he gets sliced to pieces, and all the pirates are like, hey. But, like, next chapter you'll see it. But...
Oh, yeah.
Some of the points I just made a little early, but...
V, another cool Zoro moment.
I know. He just doesn't stop.
Is it hot in here, or is it just Zoro?
It's Zoro. That's the answer.
But, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I got. It's doing a really good job of, building up Buggy as a bad guy not to be trifled with. And that's not one you're just going to, like, punch one time and be done with.
Right. So I thought this chapter was actually provided a lot, maybe even one of the more interesting chapters in this volume. It starts off with just like fun, cool. The pirate party that you were talking about. Luffy, Nami's like, how you doing? And he tells her, he's like, hey, get me out of here. And he's chewing on the cage. He wants some food. He wants out. It's kind of silly. It's kind of funny. You get some good old Buggy sarcasm when Buggy's like checking on him. And Luffy's like, you could let me out of this cage. And he's like, oh, of course I'll let you out of this cage. No, I won't let you out of this cage. But then I feel like it takes a real like dynamic turn to a like completely different vibe here, and you kind of see it happen when they're asking Nami to kill this guy she just met, and then if you take your attention to that one frame where Buggy's, it's just his face and it's like darked out a little bit, it has some like shadowy lines on it, and he's just saying, "Do it," like some Palpatine stuff, and then like it turns into this like breakout kind of scene. Nami slams her staff into that guy. She says, I'm not going to do it. She makes a choice. She really puts it out there, and you see Zoro slice up Buggy. I mean, things escalate really quickly in this chapter. Um, I really enjoyed this chapter. Maybe the most. We'll come back to that. But yeah, Dylan, I believe that you will take chapter 11.
Okay, with what I was just talking about, which I jumped ahead a little bit, as he chops into pieces, and he's just like, "Oh man, that was actually almost disappointing." All the other pirates are laughing, but it's like, this is really creepy. Like, what the hell are they still laughing? And then Solo gets stabbed in the kidneys. And at that point, it's like, I'll do it my way. Like, flips the cannon over, points it back at him. They relight it, grabs the cage, jump off the roof. And another part that I thought was really funny, I just want to double check, make sure I'm not jumping ahead again. Give me one sec. Yeah, jumps off, and like, as he's jumping off, Luffy's like, if you pick up the cage, your guts are going to squirt out. I was like, I'll just push him back in.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, dude, calm down.
All right.
Okay.
And then they flip it, they blow the place sky high. Buggy flips out, he's like, who am I? And he's like, Pirate Buggy, Captain Clown King, thingy-madoop. And they're like, oh, fuck yeah. He's like, let's get him. And it's like, I consider this a declaration of war. So, like, this chapter's like, all right, they're in hot water. Like, they either got to get away or they're gonna die. Like, there's no middle ground here. But I'd say this chapter especially, this is definitely a Zolo highlight moment. Like, Zolo is the hero of this chapter. He's the man of action. He's the one getting everything done. But, that's pretty much all I got for this chapter.
Yeah, I only had half a page of notes here. You see
it's just super, like, action-packed, so there's not...
Right, yeah. You see Zoro get
on.
got. You haven't seen him really have anything but successful attacks for the most part. Seeing him stabbed was really cool. I don't know if cool's the right word, but it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, I love seeing people getting stabbed.
It was definitely a good part of the narrative structure, or whatever. So we get to see our second devil fruit, which is kind of prolific in its own special way. We've really got our toes in the water at this point. I laughed at when Luffy calls someone a freak, and I think someone calls him on it, like, freak, says the Gum Gum Man.
No, that's right, because he's like, oh, Chop, man, what a freak. And, like, there's a little box that's like, Gum Man.
I know it. I noted that too. Yeah. What a freak.
That was great.
Yeah,
I love that.
That guy's a freak.
I also loved Luffy standing up to Buggy, literally just straight up. He didn't mishear him. He called him Big Nose, and we've seen that is one way to make an enemy out of Buggy. And I loved when he said, actually, she's our new navigator, talking about Nami. Oh, and the last thing, I didn't put anything other than your guts will squirt out. So just want to put a double call out on that one. But yeah, again, chapter 11 was pretty quick. V?
Something that was briefly mentioned before with regards to this chapter is, and we did talk a little bit about it last episode, is while this is drawn with a lot of whimsy and creativity, the depictions of blood and gore are also pretty detailed and jarring, and you can see that pretty well in this chapter with
yeah, that makes sense.
The injuries and whatnot. So that I thought was another display of that for sure. And then yeah, also like you just said, Michael, I thought it was a relevant and important moment that we realize what Buggy's power is. For some reason, because of the first kind of shot that we see of him holding someone by the throat, I thought his power was like telekinesis at first, and then realized
some Vader choke shit.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I was thinking, but upon seeing what it was, I realized what his power was. And I guess I'm also curious about what the limitations of that power are. Like, that makes me curious, like, how far can you go? And similarly, I feel the same about Luffy's power, like, how far can you push that, right?
Both great questions.
And I'm sure the story will get to that eventually. I also felt like the camaraderie between the members of the crew of Misfits starts to shine here. I feel like there are really nice moments between the characters. in this chapter. I also noted she's our new navigator, says Luffy without consulting anyone else about this, including the person that is supposed to be the navigator.
It's Luffy. People are going to call you out on that if you keep calling him Luffy.
Oh, Luffy, sorry.
Not me. Well, besides that time.
Yeah. Okay, Luffy. I'll make sure to be careful with that. I'll try to remember anyway.
Dylan calls him Zolo, or at least has in the past, so. At the end of the day, do what you want.
Yeah, but for you, it's intentional. I actually try to pronounce it the proper way. Luffy.
It's written
like
Zolo in the
manga. I also noted that there seems to be a trend here, or an emerging trend here with our protagonists. I feel like they love to prove others wrong and to defy expectations. I think that's kind of a common trait among the three of them. And that's whether they mean to or not. I feel like they're all kind of low-key brats, and I really like it. And I thought it was also a sweet moment when Zoro sticks by Luffy and kind of proves Nami wrong. I think that was a good moment there. So, yeah. That's it for chapter 11.
All right. I will do chapter 12 here. So we get to really get a good look at Moji, the lion tamer in chapter 12. Just the goofiest looking guy I think we've seen so far. Maybe Helmeppo and then Moji, I think, is our the way I'll rank them so far. Luffy's like, that's a weird costume. That's my hair. Okay.
That just makes it weirder.
Yeah, right. So, controversial take. That dog could be on the cover of a magazine called Dogs I Don't Care About. I mean, he certainly has a tragic backstory. And, you know, his place in the story is interesting, but I mean, please don't crucify me. I don't care about the dog. I don't.
All right, everybody, get the pitchforks and torches.
Get the pitchforks.
Can we kick someone out of their own podcast?
Listen, I'm sure he's a great dog, but like he literally ate the key. Okay?
But he's the dog.
Luffy was starting shit.
Listen, he's not that good of a dog. Honestly, there, I'm going to say it. I don't care that he broke his elbow.
Michael.
And we're also introduced to Boodle. I wrote Boodle the Poodle Man because I think there's an obvious, or maybe it's not obvious, but there's definitely a poodle thing going on with this guy, the mayor. Other than that, let's see.
I can see that the way his armor is.
Yes, I wrote that just makes it weirder. Exactly what you called out. When the cage broke, I felt like the actual art in that section didn't make it look like Luffy was being propelled anywhere. It looked like he was just like kind of jumping a little bit, and then we find out he's, across the street or whatever. But yeah, again, another chapter that's just kind of getting the action moving here from what happened at Buggy's camp, or whatever you want to call that place, the tavern. That's all I really had for chapter 12, V.
I had a few more like art notes. I feel like I've been paying a little bit more attention to the art. I thought the perspective on the lion and how like that whole first page basically is drawn was really cool, aside from the guy on the lion's back. I feel like if it had just been the lion, it would have been a great shot. But then Moji, I'm so sorry for the pronunciation, Moji.
As long as you get Luffy and Zoro right,
okay.
I think you'll be fine. Okay. No one cares about pronunciation emoji, probably.
Okay. Yeah, if Moji wasn't on his back, on the lion's back, I mean, it would have been a great shot. Me, contrary to Michael, I have a heart and a soul, and therefore, as a result of me having a soul and not being a monster, am a sucker for dogs. In general.
I like dogs.
In general, but also in anime or manga. They always bring either like chaos or harmony. I'm gonna make another reference to Cowboy Bebop. Shout out to Ein and Cowboy Bebop. Ein
was great.
He's a great character.
I loved him.
In this case, I feel like the dog, and I was writing my notes as I was reading. But at the time, my first impression was, I feel like the dog is probably going to bring chaos, but also brings a lot of lightheartedness to what is apparently a dire situation, which both of those things were proving true because, of course, the dog would then follow by swallowing the key, therefore bringing the element of chaos that I was expecting to happen. Quick note, the way I pronounce his name is the French way, because there was no other way for me to pronounce it in my head, and so I pronounce it Chouchou.
Chouchou. Maybe that's how it is.
Because to me, it makes sense that it would be a French name, like, and the way it's spelled to me is the French way. So I've been saying it Chouchou in my head since I read it. And yeah, I think I would die for Chouchou. I love a Hachiko story, kind of, and that kind of reminded me of that. Chouchou is adorable. I love the way he's drawn. He looks kind of silly, but also cute, but also kind of like a sweet, old, grumpy man. Like, I don't know. I really like his design. And yeah, that was about it for that chapter also. It kind of... I kind of zoomed through it, honestly. I was eager to... Not that I didn't like it, but I was eager to see the story progress, so I didn't linger.
It's kind of a bridge chapter.
Yeah, I didn't linger too long on that one.
It does introduce some important plot elements and characters, but yeah, I totally agree. Dylan?
You guys pretty much hit all the points. With Chow Chow, the thing is, like, I think I'm thinking of the right breed. Like, he reminds me of a bull terrier. It's like those terrier dogs with like the oddly shaped, like long, elongated, like snout kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Super muscular, definitely one of those biting onto my face like it did for Luffy.
This one looks a little frail, but
yeah, true. I mean, it's old, but it is like just as soon as he eats the key, like Luffy immediately grabs it and starts strangling. He's like, "I call off that fucking key." And Boodle the Poodle, which I'll probably start referring to him now, because like the armor definitely does give off like the French poodle accents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he is rocking like a sick ass mullet.
Yeah.
But another thing that I love is just like Zol is like the whole time he's dragging him through the street and he's like, lost too much blood. I need to sleep. And it's just like, no, I need to go to a doctor. He's like, no, I just need to sleep. Like, let me sleep. But hearing the No, not for me. That's the whole story and bullshit. But the backstory for Chow Chow, like that shit, like dude, like books that'll make me cry. Shiloh, Where the Red Fern Grows. Like that shit, like tore me up inside. Like it's not this chapter, but next chapter especially. But like this is a bridge chapter, kind of explains the whole background for the dog and the ones in with Moji. It's like. After reading through it, it's like Moji, like if he didn't have a line, it just wouldn't be shit. It's the fact that he has a line. That's the only reason he's cool. And I still love the bit where it's like, wow, what's with the weird costume? It's my hair. It's like, that makes it weirder. But, and another thing that kind of threw me off is like, based on the way it was drawn, is after the cage is broken, he jumps out of it. And then I guess he gets kicked. I couldn't tell if he was getting kicked or if he was getting batted by the line, but it looks like he got kicked by Moji.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
not
that's the
clearest.
case. Yeah, because like it would make more sense if we got launched like that by the line. But if it is Moji, it kind of leads like, okay, he looks goofy, but he's strong.
No, I think it was the lion. I think it was the lion, even though
because the way they did the leg, it looks like he might have kicked him, but it's hard to tell.
Looking back at it, it looks like he's swiping his front left paw.
Yeah, but it
again,
also looks
you don't
like
see
he's
contact.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I love the fact that he's like, all right, yeah, it's like I just got the shit kicked out of me. It's like, but now I'm out of the cage. I'm gonna go beat these guys up. But good. And the thing is, like, he starts going towards the pet food store. You can see Chow Chow's like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, what? You want some food? Just make it quick. And you see the little exclamation over Chow Chow. He's like, hold the fuck on. He starts growling at him, and then cuts
Not
to the
this
next
food.
ship. It's like, what? No. I'm food motivated, and I will bite you.
I am food mode.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that chapter.
Such a dog
Great
guy,
transition.
Dylan. V, chapter 13.
So chapter 13. Listen, the fight between Shushu and the lion was pulling at my heartstrings. It was making me a little bit emotional. You know, loyalty, dedication, those are things that always get me. Just to, you know, an animal absolutely going, like, defending, you know, his territory or his memories with everything that he has left is just, oh, my heart. I was kind of hoping that Shushu would join the crew. But, you know, he gets pretty beaten up. I also noted that you can tell that Shushu's story has an impact on Luffy, and I feel like 90% of the time Luffy's like an impulsive airhead, and then once in a while he has those super insightful moments that kind of make me love him. And it's not that I don't love him outside of that, but I guess I kind of have the instinct to want to dismiss him because it seems to me like he's just childish, but then he has those moments of like really insightful thoughts and feelings, and I'm like, oh, I think I like this character. And then I also noticed there was a little bit of a change of heart in Nami towards the end, where she goes from being upset with Luffy and just so over him to seeing that there's a lot of depth to him and that he has a good heart despite his lack of self-awareness. And I thought, again, that was some really good good character development. And just halfway through, there's just this shot of Luffy with his arms crossed on his chest, and he says, "I'm a rubber man." And I thought that was so perfect. I thought that was just so telling of what kind of character and person he is. Yeah. So I think for me, this chapter, despite having a lot of action to it, I think was very interesting in terms of character development.
Anything else you wanted to call out?
That's it.
Dylan?
I did
Darren.
very much enjoy Chow Chow's arc in this one. Because he just goes at it. Like, he gets beat down, keeps coming back. And all the flashback scenes, like, it tore me up. The one that got me the worst is when he's sitting outside in front of the burning building, like, barking and everything. Luffy sees him, sees the dogs crying, and that's when Luffy's like, I'm gonna fuck shit up.
That dog is my best friend.
Yeah, the cut where the dog's like crying, barking at the burning building, like, really, that shit got me. Reminded me of like Where the Red Fern Grows is like after, what is it, Little Ann dies protecting the main character, and then old Dan is just so sad because the other dog's dead, starves to death because he just doesn't want to go on living. And it's like, oh my god, no. And then, like I was saying, like, if it wasn't for the lion, Mochi wouldn't be shit. Because he puts the lion down immediately after that. Like, Mochi's like, please, no, stop, please. And then just gets the shit kicked out of him. And then, like you were saying, V, like, Nami's like, oh, you're a piece of shit, I hate you, all pirates are the same. And then Luffy has this little heart-to-heart moment with Chow Chow, and she's like, oh, shit, you know what, maybe he is different.
Yeah.
And I just love the part where he, like, the dog picks up the food, walks away, stops, looks back, barks at him. And, like, Luffy's like, yeah, thanks, good luck to you, too. It's like, okay, Luffy can talk dog. That. And then at that point, it's, after that happens, it cuts to Buggy, and he's like, all right, that's it. We're taking out the whole town.
He does say good luck to you, too.
That, for me, is just funny. It's like, oh, talk dog. But yeah, like, just because I'm a huge dog person, so all the dog stuff in this chapter really got to me.
Yeah.
But,
unlike some other people
I like
here.
dogs.
Yeah, some heartless monster over here. But that's all I got in this chapter.
So yeah, listen. This dog is a fine dog. He's just okay. And what he doesn't deserve to have his treasure burnt down. Okay, I want to put that out there first and foremost. I didn't enjoy seeing him get beat up by a lion. It didn't bring me joy. But, I wasn't choked up. I'll say that.
It didn't bring me joy, but I kind of liked it.
This was a fun action chapter, though. You get to see a Gum Gum giant gavel. I don't think it was a 2-pager, but he definitely winds that up and just crashes that lion into the ground. That was cool. But that one shot of Luffy's close-up face, that's why I came to clobber you, where you just see true rage at what he has just witnessed here. And then you just flip to the next page and you see him lay Moji out, blood squirting from his face. And the art between that and that, beautiful. There's a lot of good art in this series, but this, I didn't even think about this. Like, if you were to ask me what are your favorite like art moments, blah blah blah, this prior to rereading wouldn't have even come up. But I love this. It's beautiful. Let's see, clobbers him. Oh yeah, and at the end we see Nami is a little upset, and it doesn't explain why. And at first I was kind of confused. I looked it up. It explains it in the next chapter. But it's just because she doesn't like pirates, and this she was not a fan of what had happened here. And then yeah, we get to see them readying up their buggy balls again. But yeah, that's really all I had for chapter 13. I do believe chapter 14 is Dylan.
Funniest bit in this one, as like right off the gate, like it's Moji coming back. And he's like, I gotta tell him he ate some of the devil fruit. And he's like, I underestimated the Straw Hat Kid. He's a rub. And like hits the ground and it's like, rubber man. And he's like, oh, what? He's like, what are you trying to tell us? It must be important. And it's like, oh, he lost to some diabolical rubbing technique. And it's like, oh yeah, Captain's got it. And he's like, damn it, Moji. What's that going to do for our reputation? We got beaten by a masseuse. It's like,
that
my God.
was so good. That was
like,
excellent.
And he's on the ground. He's like, rubber man. And then Chow Chow comes back. And it starts like when Chow Chow comes back, everybody's like, oh shit, where's the mayor? Kind of goes to the backstory of the mayor. And the mayor's like, damn it, I can't stand it no more. All these young ruffians coming through trying to destroy what took 40 years to build. Yada, yada, yada. Then he's like, that's it, I'm gonna stand up and fight. And he's like, what do you think? What do you think, young one? And he's talking to Luffy. Luffy's like, damn right, dude. And Nami's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's gonna die. Yeah. Stop. And then like Buggy shows up, shoots the buggy ball, and it's like, oh crap. And then my thing is like, I'm starting to think Zolo might not have eaten the devil fruit, but there's something about him that's different. Because, I mean, he got stabbed, and all he did was sleep it off, and a buggy ball ripped through the building he was in. It's just like, oh, what the hell? That's a rude awakening. It's just like, all right, there's something more to you than we're actually seeing. Because you should be a little more fucked up than that. And then, much like Kobe was in the last one, Nami seems to be the voice of reason. Because Nami's like, oh, you're being reckless. And he's like, I know I'm being reckless. I said, but that's it, we're going to fight. And then I like this because it's like, you get like a true like bro moment between Zolo and Luffy. Because it's like he storms off and he's like, and it's like, oh, you're going to get like, Nami's like, you're going to get him killed. He's like, don't worry, I like that old man. I won't let him get killed. And Zolo's like, all right, things are starting to get good. And Luffy's like, haha, hell yeah. And like, Nami's like, what the fuck are you guys laughing about? This guy's going to kill everyone. And then they agree. It's like, she's like, well, I'll never be a pirate. It's like, but we'll team up for a common goal. At this point, Mayor calls him out. And then Luffy and Zolo come in, like they're like the squad's ready to start throwing down. They're squaring up. So this is a good, not super action packed, but again, delves into the backstory of one of the supporting characters a lot, and kind of sets the tone. And I also love the name of the tavern. It's called the Drinker Pub.
Accurate.
It's like, okay. It's like, I didn't really try too hard on that one, did you? But solid chapter. This chapter is one of those chapters. It's like if you're reading this as it comes out, every episode, it's just like this is one where it's like, oh man, I can't wait for next week's chapter. Next week's chapter is going to be a banger. So I thought it was great. And also, like, I paid attention to like the end parts where he's talking about different stuff. And this one he did Vikings, and it was kind of like, I love Vikings, and the Vikings is what led me to this love of pirates because they're kind of similar. And it's just like, okay, cool. But that's all I got on that chapter. Well, yeah, you brought it up last time, so I paid. I saw it was like, oh, the Jolly Roger. Okay, that's kind of cool. But I paid a little more attention and actually read through. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't tell me anything about Vikings that I didn't already know, but it was cool. It's
it
cool
was
to see his
broad
inspiration.
strokes on it, but you know.
Yeah.
I watch Vikings on History Channel, so you know,
Ooh,
I'm pretty much an expert.
Oh, that's awesome. So I only had a couple notes to add because you touched on them. You know, getting beat by a rub man, a monsieur. Nami saying like, "No, Mayor, don't," and Luffy's like, "Oh hell yeah, let's go, Mayor." But yeah, you know, this is their second attempt to build a town. Like their last town, this group of at least the elders in town had done this once before, and here they are watching it just get leveled by this group of pirates who has decided to make their home. We get a nice 2-page spread on the buggy ball. I think that's really cool. It's not as cool as some of Luffy's moves from the last couple of chapters, but it does, you know, kind of convey the destruction of the buggy ball. And I have a note here, and I'm trying to back it up, but do we see Nami agree to join the crew? I have it here, her saying that she's going to join the crew.
Yeah, it's like right before like the mayor, like it's like right after he hops up.
Let's
the mayor.
just say we'll join forces, work together for a common goal, she says. And you know, that's a big step in the direction of creating the crew.
Tends to be how Luffy's crew gets formed. It's like, I don't want to be a pirate, but we'll work together for the time being.
Yeah. He's clearly, you know, got something going on that's worth hanging on to. And it was also interesting, Zoro's little comment at the very end. He said, "I'm more worried about my reputation than my guts." He is very proud of his skills as a swordsman, and he's eager to prove them. I think that's one of the cooler Zoro moments. But yeah, that's all I have for chapter 14. Go for it, V.
Well, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot more than what you guys have already brought up. The humor in the whole rub man and the masseuse thing was hilarious. That was really, really good humor. Again, we're getting back to like kind of this character hearing what he wants to hear just to have an excuse to get angry. Or maybe he's really hard of hearing. I don't know. And then I also just had some thoughts about the mayor. I feel like the mayor's a great character. I feel like his sense of responsibility and pride over the village is really heartwarming, and it's telling of his qualities as a person. And it also makes it especially painful to see his house completely ruined by one of the cannonballs. Again, like Michael alluded to, this is the second time that they're trying to build a home, and again they're seeing it be absolutely destroyed. And the shot of him saying, "I know I'm being reckless," with like underneath you see the 3 other characters' reaction to his like outburst. It kind of lets you in on how all of them want to solve the situation. Like, you can see a look of determination in Zoro and Luffy's eyes, and Nami's more like, "Oh no, I have to prevent this from happening," whereas the 2 other, you can sort of see that they're like on board already, even though they haven't said a word. And similarly, I got the same impression from that shot in the last shot of the chapter, where you see Luffy, Zoro, and Nami way in the back, and how they're going to address and try to solve the situation. Like the same energy comes off of both shots, and I really, really enjoyed that last shot. I think it's fantastic. I love the perspective, like Luffy in the foreground, Zoro in the mid, and Nami in the back. I thought was really cool.
I'm gonna say his mid is hot.
And Zoro's hot, by the way, in case you guys forgot, Zoro's hot. But yeah, that's what I had for chapter 14.
All right, I'll kick off chapter 15. So here we start getting into some real action. You know, last chapter was building up the conflict that starts to unravel here. We see the chop fruit, you know, in action. Buggy is kind of just like a 10-year-old. You know, the way he's like, stop hitting yourself, the way he just treats people, the way he acts. There's a child inside that head of his, a child with somewhat great power.
All the bad guys seem like children having temper tantrums so
That's
far.
true.
Axan Morgan felt a little just like a shitty adult.
Teen? Okay.
Yeah. You know, they knock. Was it in this chapter that he gets? Yeah. They knock out Boodle so he doesn't get in the way for his own good. I thought that was a really awesome moment of Luffy kind of looking out for others. And I do not understand why Moji is the first mate here. Kabaji is clearly the superior fighter. Love seeing him introduced. Nami straight up says that she's not interested in fighting here. She backs out of it. So, you know, Luffy and Zoro acknowledge that this is something they're going to have to take care of. Buggy kind of has a ruthless moment where he's like, be glad you won't live to see what I do to it. Talking about the mayor's town. Like, come on, man. And then finally, we wrap things up with another awesome Gum attack. Yeah, it's an attack. It's kind of a defense ability, but he uses it to counter the Buggy Ball. Sends it right back at him. Knocks down the tavern here. And, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the first time Buggy gets to see the Gum fruit in action. So Buggy kind of gets a wake-up call on who he's up against. And it's only, you know, rising action from here. I think this chapter really starts the conflict a little bit. It grows over the next chapter. Yeah, I thought it was a fun action chapter. Not a lot of story building, world building, anything going on here. It's time to fight. V?
Yeah, similarly to you, why the heck is Moji there if we have Kabaji also in existence and in Buggy's crew, honestly? I love his aesthetic. Okay, yes, I am a sucker for tall, dark, and mysterious men with you know, semi-long hair.
Emo.
Subi. Yeah. I mean, Jared Way, anyone? My Chemical Romance?
I was going to say, it looks like he loves My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
I like that.
I bet he does.
Even has the checkers scarf.
I know.
Which was
and
very
then,
emo.
you know, the
Bro,
sword,
that's
the swords, and being able to stick a sword down his gullet was somehow kind of a turn on.
It's a PG podcast.
Unpack that. Just kidding.
You were, I think Michael, yeah, you were just talking about like some brutal lines in this chapter. Something that really grabbed me was when Buggy says, let me just find it. He says, "This dump of yours doesn't sparkle, it rots." And for some reason, that line was really like, man, that's a powerful line.
I must have missed that. That is a good one.
Like,
oh, yep, I see it right here.
It's strong. It's aggressive. Like, it's just brutal. And I thought that was great writing. And still knowing that the mayor is undeterred and he still stands up to Buggy with pride was like, he is not budging at all and is ready to face this adversity. I thought was, again, really telling of the mayor as a character. Yeah, Luffy kicking the mayor's ass because he was in the way was like pure unhinged energy, and I'm here for it. And as Zoro mentions, it does end up being useful, and it's like, Luffy's programmed to fuck shit up, but lucky enough and weirdly charming enough to get away with it. Like, I think Dylan was saying that last episode. He was saying failing his tasks successfully, and that's exactly the type of vibes that I was getting from that. And also, I just had a note here that the ridiculousness of the Gum Gum balloon absolutely cracked me up. It was really giving me Balloon Mario vibes from Super Mario World on the SNES. Like, you can turn Mario in a balloon and he can float. And it just looks it looks just like Luffy with the Gum Gum balloon. Yeah, I
Which
thought that
Mario?
was funny. Super Mario World on the SNES. Yeah.
Kind of like when you get the feather and the way you're holding your cape, you're just kind of like balled out and just like.
Yeah, but there's an
around.
actual balloon Mario. I'll have to show you a picture for reference, but if anyone listening knows what I mean, he's just like a Mario that's super inflated, and that's what it made me think about.
Isn't that a kink? I think I've heard of that.
Yes, it's called inflation, and we don't talk about it here. I'm not kink shaming. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying it's disgusting and I hate it.
I'm just saying it's a little weird. But yeah, that's what I had for chapter 15.
All right, Dylan.
All right, yeah. You guys touched on all the good parts. What you were kind of touching on, V, like a lot of this volume seems to be like, because Nami kind of seems to have the similar view of treasure that Buggy does. Because when she's talking about Luffy's hat, she's like, "Oh, it's just an ugly hat. Oh, you have to have jewels or like a treasure map under there." And he's like, "No, it's just my hat." And it's like, "Well, what's so special about that?" It's like a friend I love gave it to me. That's what makes it special. That's why it's my treasure. And it's like, oh, it's just a mangy pet food store. Who cares? It's like, well, it's got a lot of significant meaning to Chow Chow. That's why it's his treasure. Mm-hmm. And same thing with the mayor. It's like, I love this town. I spent 40 years of blood, sweat, and tears building this town and having to learn to meet and love these people. That's why it means so much to me. And Buggy goes, it's like, no, treasure glitters. It shines. It makes you a king. And then that great line, it's like, this dump of a town is just rotting. It's just...
I didn't think about the similarities between Buggy and Nami as far as the treasure's concerned.
And it's like, it's just a treasure for termites. It's like, I'm going to fucking burn it to the ground. And I love it. It's like, oh, shut up, you stupid squirt. Get down here and challenge me. And then Buggy's like, why should I get down there? Like, force choke, but with actual hand. And, talking about, Kabaji, here, I never played Skyward Sword, but he definitely has hella vibes of, like, the first main protagonist before you find Misery or whatever he's called. Basically the pre-Ganondorf.
Yeah. Girahim is his name.
Yeah, but the guy who turns into the evil Master Sword.
Yeah.
Like his, it's just like instantly throws to that.
Yeah, I think you meant antagonist, not protagonist.
Oh, I totally
Was it
see
protagonist?
it.
I thought it was an
Yeah,
antagonist.
but Girahim. He looks a lot like him, you're right.
Yeah, like, that definitely threw that up there. Yeah, like Luffy coming in, throwing stuff down. And it's funny that, like, it goes to the scene where, let's make sure I'm not jumping ahead. Doop. He shoots it back, and then it cuts to the scene where they're, oh, nope, that's next chapter, never mind. But then it's like, this is the first point when they're like, oh, what the hell? Because he does the balloon, like, what the heck is that? What kind of weird... He took a direct hit, what the heck? He's bouncing it back, oh my god.
He's pulling his cock out.
Oh my god, he's pulling his cock out! And then...
This is what it's like to hang out with these guys.
And then
They're just always
Nami's
pulling
just
their
like...
cocks out.
And I was like, oh my god, what are you? And then fucking, of course, Zolo was like, you could have freaking told me, dude, and had me worried for nothing. But it's like, this is where, like, people who aren't included, like, Zolo's the only one who really knows, but everyone else is like, oh, what kind of freak is this guy? And the thing is, with him knocking out the mayor, it's kind of like what rescue divers are taught to do. It's like if you're rescuing somebody in high sea, like a dangerous environment, if they start to panic, you're told, knock them out. Because when they start to panic like that, they're a danger to themselves and you.
That's
so
a little
get them out of
easier
the way.
said than done. Without gum powers.
I mean, a full pulled cockback punch right to the bridge of the nose, that'll put most people off their rocker. But I mean, the main thing is just go underwater. They're not going to cling to you if you go underwater. Anyways, good chapter. You know, it's like this is like, all right, shit's kicking off. So good start, and I love, like, it's just more into the circus theme. It's like, oh, Kabaji's coming out. It's like, oh yeah, we get to see his acrobatic act. Yeah, yeah. And he's like, butt out. He challenged me, not you. And everybody's like, boo. We don't get to see the acrobatic act. Boo.
Did they boo him?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, oh, we aren't going to be able to see his acrobatic show. Boo. So, like, with Buggy, it's just the whole, like, ridiculous, everyone's, like, murderous circus actors. It's just hilarious to me. But that's pretty much all I got on this chapter.
Right. Okay. And I think that takes us to chapter 16. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And that's UV.
Yeah, so the first note I got about this it felt to me like it was drawn a little bit differently. Like the textures, at least at the beginning, feel richer. A little bit more, with more detail. They felt a little less sharp in some shots. And I thought that was interesting. It was an interesting choice, but I think I'm getting used to the not so detailed art. So I guess it felt a little odd, but I didn't dislike it. I'm just not sure how much I actually enjoy it. But it wasn't bad. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's like in color. Like I'm not exactly sure why they would do that, but anyway. I feel like that was a very action-packed chapter. When I started reading it, it's like I didn't stop, and it took me all of like 5 minutes to read it because I was so enthralled with the action that was going on. Like I was following the pace of the fight. Like I was out of breath because I was participating in the fight. Like it really took me in and grabbed me. I have to say, the shot of Kabaji kicking Zoro right in the wound.
Oh, yeah.
Was, like, it physically made me cringe. Like, it was a visceral reaction of, oof, like, I can't even imagine that type of pain. It really, like, took me by surprise and, like, even kind of took my breath away. Like, I gasped. I was like, holy shit. But yeah, that was brutal. Like you see the tip of his shoe and everything. Oh man, it really got me. And then he gets like absolutely like pummeled. And then he does this thing where he slashes himself even deeper and is like, is that enough of a handicap for you? I'll show you some real swordplay. Meanwhile, I'm over there like fanning myself, wondering why do I find it so attractive that a man hurt himself and is ready to fight and has his own blood on his hands? I was going through stuff, guys. I was going through things. I was like, man.
Oh, God.
He's so, like, I was like, one day I will not thirst over Zoro, but it is not this day. I had a moment. I'm sorry. I had to. But it was good. It was a really, really good chapter. It was just, like, to me, a bite-sized chapter. I flew through it. Absolutely flew through it. So, yeah, that's all I had for 16.
All right, Dylan.
I mean, this is a solid action-packed chapter. I love the scene like where it cuts them and they're holding up like crew members in the lion as shields. And then Moji comes, he's like, oh, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing to my lion? And he's like, I don't want to get my clothes dirty. And then he glares at the lion, and the lion's like, oh, I don't want none, dude. Leave me alone. And then it's hilarious. He's like, oh, look out, Captain. He's a rubber man. He ate a devil fruit. And he's like, why the hell didn't you tell me? He's like, I tried to. And like as he's flying by, like Luffy just piles on the disrespect and just clocks him with a kick to keep him flying. And as he's coming by, that's a great panel. I love that. The fight behind Kabaji and Zolo, I loved. It was hilarious. I mean, the dirty tricks keeps kicking him in his wound. That's great. So their fight's really, really funny. And then again, like he does the cut and he's like, "Oh, is that enough of a handicap to you?" And the Luffy again, he's like, "Wow, Zolo's so cool." And it's just like Luffy really is just like a little kid.
Yeah, he does literally say exactly that.
It's like it's super endearing. It makes me like him more and more every time. And I also like the Nami's like, oh, you see how bad he's hurt? How are you going to just sit here and, like, watch your friend get killed? And Luffy's just like, shut up, bitch. Like, watch. Just watch. Doesn't say anything. Just watch. But, yeah, I mean, besides that super, super great start to this fight, Leaves it on a definite cliffhanger where he's like, all right. And he's like, I leveled the playing ground even more for you. Now I'm super hurt. Let's see what you got. But that's all I got in this chapter.
Yeah, this chapter, I'm kind of with V. It is a great moment for Zoro to kind of show out. You know, in one of the previous chapters, he was like, I'm more worried about my reputation than my guts. And he makes that clear. I think he says something along the lines of, now you won't have any excuse when you lose to me. So that was badass. This is, I forgot how great of a fight this was for Zoro. He has longer ones. He will have better fights than this, but this was surprisingly cool, fun, interesting. Dylan, like you, I loved seeing Mochi just get knocked around a little bit.
Just the disrespect of the kick on the way out.
You see Luffy not step in, like he knows this isn't his fight. You get to see swords, like we saw, our first devil fruit. Now we get to see our first swordsman battle, swordsman on swordsman. There will be more of those. But yeah, seeing Zoro self-handicap, not just to prove that he's tougher, but also to humiliate his opponent in a way. So yeah, this was an excellent action chapter.
It's the ultimate, like, fuck you, big dick energy.
Too big.
Yeah,
Too big.
like that. Yeah, that big dick energy was all over my face, so to speak. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. I don't know if those are the right words, but I'll allow it.
Anyway.
So Dylan, you are responsible
I have to get the cold water out again.
Wrapping chapter. Yeah, Dylan, if you could kick off chapter 17, our final chapter.
Okay, chapter 17 is where, like, I know I've kind of been ragging on, because, like I said, I keep comparing Zolo to Dritz Do'Urden because I've read through, well, except for some of the newer stuff, but I read through and reread R.A. Salvatore's Dritz Do'Urden books several times. And, like, it's whole, like, oh, I'm a master two-handed swordsman. I'm so cool, but I'm so sensitive. Which you don't see as much of the whole, like, oh, I'm so sensitive. But you see the man of mystery shit a little. But I love this because, like, this is when he, like, really puts on the disrespect. And he's like, all right, I'm done with your shit. Because it just shows how annoying Kabaji is. He's like, circus trick, kamikaze top, circus trick. Do something else, circus trick, this. And then eventually, like, fucking Zolo's just like, oh man, I am tired. I've had it. Like, I'm tired. And it's like, oh, you're giving up already? And he just kicks the unicycle out from underneath him. He's like, no, I'm tired of your annoying ass fucking tricks. Fight. And I was like, damn, all right, disrespect. I love it.
Reminds me of Alvida's
immediately after that,
bitch.
just runs into Onigiri and just fucking drops his ass. So it's like, one, you're annoying as shit. You got dumb tricks. No one likes it. Kicks the unicycle out from underneath him and just ends the shit.
No one likes your tricks. No one likes you.
You're a loser. Everyone thinks magic's lame. kicks his unicycle out from underneath him and just drops him. And then Luffy being the badass he is, like, Buggy tries to step in. He's like, haha, we got him. And Luffy's like, stomps on his hand. He's like, hell no, don't interfere. This is his fight. But yeah, like, great conclusion to that fight. This right here, action-wise, might be my favorite chapter. Because, I mean, I've dogged a little bit on Zolo, but this is like, all right, Zolo, you're pretty cool.
Yeah, he's showing off. He's showing off. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's pretty much all for this chapter.
Yeah, so I think I said something happened in last chapter that actually happened in this one. So in last chapter, it was about humiliating Kabaji. This one, he's putting on some reputation insurance. You know, he's like, listen, this is gonna boost my rep, lower yours. No diff here. But yeah, it was just a great conclusion to the Kabaji fight. Like, dude, just playing dirty, kicking his wound, which, I mean, I guess you can't. They're pirates. Is it really dirty? Just jamming his sharp-toed shoe into his side, and then pulls off his circus tricks, and Zoro's just not having it. Onigiri's him, and we get a nice single-page spread of the Onigiri, blood pouring out of Zoro's side. All three blades in action, Moji rising out of the top of him, arms down. It's beautiful. That's a great shot. frame panel. I like Kabaji's circus tricks. I think they're silly, but in a way that's kind of endearing. I like him a lot more than Moji. But he got stomped.
I mean,
There's
that's
no way around
pretty easy to beat.
Yeah, right. We get a nice shot of Luffy saying, "I'm going to be king of the pirates," and the look on his face kind of says that he's like saying this in just such a like matter of fact way. Like he's not like declaring it. There's no explanation. He's like, "I'm going to be king of the pirates," and Buggy loses it, and then we get a nice little cliffhanger here. You and your straw hat remind me of him when he was younger. That insolent dog with the red hair.
Yep. That was great. I didn't bring that up, but like, yeah, that was. I was like, oh shit. Okay, he knows Shanks. Like, oh, we're getting a little deeper.
But yeah, that's all I got. Nice little cliffhanger ending for the volume. V.
Yeah. So one of the things I noted kind of at the beginning of this chapter is, for someone that hates pirates, the fact that Nami is going for the treasure and leaving the boys to face Buggy is very pirate-like of her. I was like, she's probably more like a pirate than she would like to admit.
She's a thief.
Yeah, she's a thief. She's not actually... Don't call me a pirate. I'm not a pirate. I'm a thief, okay?
Dylan will tell you the difference between a rogue, a thief, and a swashbuckler. There's a difference. Dylan will tell you all about it,
well, we don't need to get into that
now.
now.
Yeah, we won't get into that right now.
But I felt like...
way cooler.
That was very pirate-y of her, and I was like, okay, Nami, try to convince yourself that you won't fit right into this crew. Sure. Yeah, holy shit, the spread of Zoro's attack looked absolutely fantastic. I love that.
Is that the only spread is only...
You know what?
Sorry.
It was just good. It was super well drawn. I will say I didn't know that the word onigiri meant something super badass. I just thought they were Japanese rice balls, but apparently they also mean demon slash. So I don't know.
Were they? I don't think the rice balls were onigiri.
Are they not?
I don't think so.
Google onigiri.
I will. It's going to come up with demons.
No, it's going to come up with Japanese rice balls, Michael.
Really?
Yeah. We're Googling it.
Damn.
We're
There's some
Googling it
zesty
right
rice
now.
balls, my guy.
But I know that an oni is a Japanese like demon or something.
Right, but I also know that I'm a fatso, okay? I know that onigiri is food.
I
think oni is one of those.
now.
I think oni is just one of those general terms that, depending on what suffix you plug it in with, it means something different.
Oh, let's not debate the finer points of the Japanese language, of which none of us.
I think we're qualified. We read manga. I mean, right? We're qualified.
All that's to say, the only onigiri I had been exposed to before this were the Japanese rice balls, which, for the record, are absolutely delicious. So it just came as a little bit of a surprise for me when I read the chapter. Yeah, there was also a little bit of an interaction there when Zoro basically falls to the ground, and he says, "Luffy, I'm going to sleep now." And Luffy's like, "Go ahead and sleep. I'll take it from here." And I feel like that was very wholesome, even though realistically, someone that injured should not be falling asleep. They should be trying to be kept awake, like, as much as possible. But yeah, I thought that was a wholesome moment. I also, to what you said, I think it was Michael that said that, like, the fact, when Luffy says, "I'm going to be the king of the pirates," and is so, matter of fact about it, I also love that everyone that hears Luffy saying that reacts like it's the most ridiculous thing that they've ever heard in their entire life. But he is it is a fact for him. It is not a question. It is going to happen. The question is when, right?
I bet in his head, he's like, why are they laughing?
Right, exactly. And like everyone he's encountered so far anyway, as like, from what we've read, has treated him like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're not good. Like, don't be a fool. Literally what Buggy says. Like, you're not going to be the king of the pirates.
Then what am I? God of the pirates?
Right, exactly. That was a good line. And yeah, obviously the cliffhanger at the end with the mention of the Straw Hat and who we obviously presume to be Shanks. So I was very eager to learn a little bit more about Shanks and his storyline and hopefully see him again. So that made me very happy. And that is how chapter 17 ended.
All right. Got 2 volumes down, 1 to go, and then another one, and then another one.
Like another like 100 after that.
And then another one.
All right. So let's dive in and talk about, or dive up, I guess, because we're getting more general. Let's zoom out and just kind of talk about the volume as a whole. Similar to last time, we're going to touch on just some or actually let me give you guys just some things to think about. Same stuff as last time. Characters that stood out, the setting. This only took place in really one place. There's a couple different locales within, but same town. Themes, we can kind of start getting away from themes. I just want to see what you guys' first impression was when we discussed that. I don't think that there's been a whole lot of revelation as far as the overarching theme of One Piece as a whole. If you want to talk about friendship, I think we discussed Law and Order, some other stuff. Themes and art. We've been discussing art as we went along. And narrative hooks. Any new hooks that you want to see drawn out, again, short term, long term, anything like that. So I'll kick things off here. So I thought Volume 2 was a really cool kind of showcase for the Straw Hats and their abilities, what they're good at, who they are. You get to see Zoro really getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting in a real fight, a fight that takes right around 2 chapters, chapter and a half, something like that. You see Luffy really fuck shit up. Nami does Nami things, not interested in fighting, more interested in advancing her own cause. She needs 100 million berries? That's money in this world. I don't know if that's been made obvious at this point, but yeah, they buy and sell in berries. Buggy as a villain is silly, but I think they handle him in a way that is really menacing. V pointed out that the first time you see him in, I think, his full body shot where he's sitting in his chair, super menacing. That close up where he's like, do it, like kill him.
Oh yeah, like the kind of undershot with the like super darkened face. Yeah,
like they make this clown. He's not it, but he's up there as far as creepy clowns go. He's also has a silly side, and that kind of pulls back down on that, but there's definitely a villain underneath that red nose. His crew is fun. They follow theme. Moji, kind of lame. I'm just going to say he's kind of lame.
I don't think you say kind of. That's pretty lame.
He's lame. Kabaji, way cooler, like 100 times cooler.
I agree with V. Why wasn't Kabaji the first mate? Why is it Moji the second mate?
Right?
Yeah, the town itself, the setting is interesting. We got a town that's hiding out. They're in refuge. They're refugees in their own like island.
Yeah, they're Fugi camp.
That's disrespectful. I don't know. But no, I mean, you get the dog moment. You guys get your dog moment. We get to see a lot of stuff open up here. The town doesn't have a ton of personality to it. It's just a town, wooden stores, people having been run away. The mayor has a little bit of personality in him. He gets knocked out. We don't get to see him in action. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, there probably was some stairs in his future if they didn't knock him out.
Oh, God. I mean, wearing that kind of heavy armor, might not lend itself to stairs.
Yeah, I know. That's
very
more
well.
momentum. You're going to get fucked up.
You guys may unearth some other things that I want to touch on, but just like off the top, that is my impression of this chapter. I don't think it's better. The volume. I don't think it's better than Romance Dawn, just because I hold Romance Dawn in really high regard. That's volume 1, for those of you who aren't aware, who this is your first episode maybe. Yeah, it's really good, full of action, shines some light on our heroes, but it doesn't have the world building that obviously the first chapter of a story may have. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this chapter, or this volume. Some chapters more than others, but yeah, just fun. If I were to use one word to describe it, it would be fun. V?
Yeah, I thought this was like I was saying earlier, it feels like this is the true beginning. Like, this is where the action truly begins for me, as far as, like, I know that we had some action scenes in volume 1 with Alvida and whatnot and the Navy, and I feel like it was like foreplay. But now we're actually getting into it, and I thought it was a great way to introduce a more lively side to the story. I thought Buggy was a really good first real antagonist. I think his character design played into like the universe that he was written and created for. Like, he fits the universe, if that makes sense. Yeah, I also thought, like, I would be curious to see what does an actual circus of them performing, what would it look like? Like, what
Do they perform?
do they even perform? And like, what are some other potential, like, first in command, second in commands would have looked like, with different parts of different roles taken by people in the circus typically. I thought it was interesting. Personally, clowns creep me the fuck out, so I was obviously a little bit creeped out by Buggy, but still not enough to not want to read it. I think it was a really, really good volume. I really felt for the mayor as a character. I think I touched on it when we went a little bit deeper into it with the chapters. I thought he was a really good example of what determination looks like in that universe. I thought he was a character that did not let his circumstances defeat him, and he was ready to defend his town, and I think he was very heartwarming. And I it's like I have the word relatable going into my head, but I'm not, like, I don't know that I would have put my life on the line like that for a village. Now, I don't know. I've never built a village from scratch and had, like, from the ground up and then had to rebuild it again. And I hope I never find myself in that situation.
You never played SimCity?
And actually, no, I didn't. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed him as a character. I feel like he would probably be like someone I would like to have on my side, you know? A lot of really good Zorro moments. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Please give me more. I loved Shoo Shoo. Again, I'm hashtag Team Shoo Shoo. Love a dog. Like I said, love a Hachiko moment. Also, just
What does that mean?
Hachiko is the story of basically a dog, a real story of a dog that basically waited for his owner at a train station, if I recall correctly, until he died.
Oh yeah, they built a statue of
it.
They
built a statue of the dog. The dog was waiting for his owner to come back. Kind of like, if you've seen Futurama, there's also a similar story about the dog waiting until the owner returns. And that's kind of that's a moment like that we had with Shushu, is a Hachiko moment, is what I call them.
The cute part about that statue is like the top of its head's very polished.
Well, yeah, because
everyone who walks by
him.
pets the statue.
I know I would.
I'd pet the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good chapter. I feel like it was... I struggled to find more precise words because I feel like it was so rich in a way, and it introduced a lot of new things that I feel like my mind is kind of wanting to jump to one thing, like from one thing to another, being like, oh, and this cool thing, and this also cool thing, oh, and this cool thing. But we did go into detail about it just earlier. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And the way it ended made me very eager to read more.
Same. Anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Dylan.
I'd same as V. I love the Chow Chow moment. That tugged at my heartstrings pretty hard. I think I personally preferred Volume 2 to Volume 1. And not to dog on Volume 1. Volume 1 was just a mad dash to give you the introduction and the information you needed to understand what the story is. So it's understandable they had to tie a lot in and had to do it super fast. Whereas this one, it's like, okay, you got Buggy. This is the situation. Now they're gonna deal with it. And like even at the end of Volume 2, we're not done. We still gotta finish it in the next volume. So I'm liking the fact they're taking a little more time with an antagonist. Because that was my gripe last time with especially Axan Morgan. I was like, I wanted to see more of him. He seemed like a really cool bad guy. And now we're actually getting this with Buggy. Art direction, you can tell when he's switching up to a more serious topic because the tone of the art changes drastically. It was like V was mentioning one of the chapters, like the start of it, the art was like way different than everything
that was
else.
so
way
weird.
More saturated. But
Yeah,
that's because like that's when shit was starting to pop off. It was like, hey, we're getting serious.
Yeah,
I mean, there was serious times when the art was just normal.
Yeah, but the beginning of the chapter that I paid special attention to was the beginning of chapter 16.
And that's when like
the first few
they're
pages.
getting ready to throw down.
Yeah, that's
like,
right before the throwdown. Yeah.
And some of it's like it's not as direct, but I've been noticing there is always a shift. And it goes from like, haha, Luffy's just a goofball. It's like, okay, Luffy and crew about to deal with some shit.
Now he's serious.
There's just a slight, there's a shift in the art, and I like that. I think it's a good tool to clue the reader in subconsciously on, I should pay a little more attention. Something's about to happen. But yeah, I think this volume is great. And again, the way he's doing these cliffhangers with the volumes, really good. Even in between episodes, like I'm reading the chapters, it's like, all right, it has thousands, like at least hundreds upon thousands of chapters already. But it's like if you're reading this when it first came out,
1095 just dropped this week.
Yeah, and it's like if you're at the point where you're waiting, like I don't know what the release schedule is, like every week, every 2 weeks. It's like some of these chapters, it's like, oh man, damn, I gotta wait like a week or 2 weeks till the next chapter comes out. Damn, like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
I'm right there with you, buddy.
And you said the town was just like, it's a town, but I feel like Boodles the poodle, definitely he like before that it was like, oh, it's just a town. But then when he was introduced, it's like, oh, okay, here's the meaning of town. Okay, now I care about this town because I see how much, like you said, they came to this wilderness. It's like, all right, let's build our town here. It's like our last town was destroyed by pirates. We're gonna make a new town. It's like, and then now we're a thriving port city. It's like, oh my god, we did it. It's like, no, I'm not gonna let it happen again. We're gonna stand. I'm gonna stand and fight this time. This time's different. Like I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this. I'm gonna stand for it. And another thing is like something with Zolo. There's something about like, okay, it might not be a devil fruit, but there's something about like, he's different.
He's just built
like,
different, right?
I mean, yeah, that cliche, but it's just like there's shit he's going through that he shouldn't be able to. And the fact that like anytime he's like severely wounded, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna take a nap. It's like, bro, I do that like when my tummy hurts. I don't do that like.
And my tummy still hurts when I wake up.
Yeah, I'm like, I was like, my tummy hurts. I'm gonna take a nap, but it's like, I just got stabbed in the kidneys. All right, let me sleep this one off real quick. Give me 30 minutes. And it's just so like I'm really interested to see because there's something about him that we're not clued into yet, but it's like dropping hints where it's like, he might not be a devil fruit, but there's something about him that's different. And Nami's kind of like, at this point, it's kind of like, Nami and Luffy is kind of like the Ash Misty relationship. When Ash is like, whatever, I'll get you your bike. And Misty's like, you own my bike. And it's just like nagging him the whole time. And it's just like, that's the dynamic I'm seeing right now with them. And it's kind of like, it's nostalgia trip because, I mean, not to age ourselves, but Pokemon, watching that on Saturday mornings, it's like, oh my God.
Nami and Misty both have the same colored hair. I don't know if you guys
both
gathered
red
that
hairs.
from.
Well, you know, it's pretty much it.
I mean, it's hot. Redheads are hot.
I mean, yeah.
Just saying.
Nami, sweetie. Anyway.
Just can't wait for that bikini scene. Sheesh.
So Dylan, you brought up something that I missed out on, but yeah, the name drop at the end, like that redheaded. Oh, I got it right here.
Yeah, that was huge. I
That
was
insolent
like, oh,
dog
shit.
with red hair.
Yeah.
And then
It's like,
Luffy
now I'm
says,
curious,
"Red
it's like,
hair."
how did he know him before? Like, were they on a crew together? Like, did they fight before?
Yeah. What's the story here, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon
So they're
we'll find out
leaving-
next chapter.
Yeah, they're leaving shit for us to be interested. He's doing a really good job at, like, leaving little shit for you. Like,
Oh, you haven't
keep you
even
reading.
scratched the surface. I
that's the
can't
thing.
wait. I can't wait.
We're just getting into it, Michael. We'll get there.
I know. I'm so excited, though. I can't wait.
It is
Can't
exciting.
wait for those aha moments, of which there are many. Again, I said something similar last recording. 10 chapters from now, 100 chapters from now, 1,000 chapters from now, there will be moments from this that tie back in. More often than not, in a really clever way. Every now and then, you just be like, okay, that's cool, I guess, but most of the time, it's really good. The foreshadowing, the pre-planning, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I will say you guys might have to point those out to me because I'm dumb as a rock. But, yeah. I'm not.
Pisha and G-Wiz.
No, but I'm not very
most educated out of this group.
I'm not very perceptive sometimes when it comes to like, oh, this was referred to like, 50 chapters ago, and I probably have forgotten at this point. So
I will.
You guys might have to be like, oh,
No, I think that's going to happen for everybody.
okay.
Just because the material is so expansive. It's
yeah,
I got you guys.
yeah. Michael has this covered.
not sure if all the listeners could hear my eyes roll on that one. But
And our potential co-host, name drop a little bit, may have some more. We'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, any last word?
I'm excited. Again, I feel like that's been the sentiment every time I finish. I finish a volume. It's like I'm looking forward to the next one.
It is exciting. It really is. Dylan?
like I said, man, he's leaving these cliffhangers, like good cliffhangers too, not just like shitty ones. It's like you
Yeah.
can't just finish it. Like really, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like good,
I
solid cliffhangers.
The insolent dog with red hair was literally just introduced last chapter.
Yeah.
And this single like chapter ending, volume ending already hits. You know?
Yeah, you're already like,
that's
like, yeah.
It just happened in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's like,
true.
oh shit, more about Shanks. Fuck yeah, I'm about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. Like, just to double check anything else you guys wanted to throw in here before I wrap things up.
All good.
All right. Well, I want to thank anyone who's still here listening. As always, please feel free to drop us a line at podpodfruit@gmail.com, or you can check us out on Twitter at podpodfruit. Thank you so much for listening, and bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Ciao, Bella.